Okay, so it's 10:03. I just want to officially welcome everybody to the webinar for administrators. This is a refresher, and we're going to be talking about registrations and reports and research. I'm going to go ahead and launch my presentation again, and let's get started with this. I want you to go ahead and redo your resume and add to your resume that you are an LMS administrator. And an LMS stands for Learning Management System. And that is much more than just handling training. What you're going to be doing, what you have as your role and responsibilities is managing a program and a system that allows your store to do training. But it's not just courses. An LMS allows you to develop training, to train and track and test all the training that is being done in your store. So this is much more than just your regular training function. We're using a tool to do all this. Who is the administrator? The administrator, within our LMS, what we have is we create a store, which is a business unit, and that's a term that everybody should be familiar with because when you do the reports, you're going to see the term business units, and that's what I mean by BU right under the store. Each store, when I create a store in the system, will have two different positions. One of us as an administrator and one position for students. You get that set up by us here. On your side, you're going to have the ability to create the account for the student. And you can assign students to either the student position, or if you're an administrator, you will be able to change somebody from the student position to the administrator role. But your role as an administrator is basically registering people, tracking the training, troubleshooting, and making sure that people are taking the courses that they need to be taken. So in the system, you are an administrator. So what does an administrator do? The first thing that we do is we register the stores here. Guys go ahead and register the students. The students get into the system. They enroll in the courses. They take the tests. They obtain their certificates. As an administrator, your role is to do the report and do the maintenance. And so basically, those dark green areas are the ones that are your responsibility. And that's what we're going to be talking today about. Let's talk about student registrations. What are the boo-boos? What are the biggest problems that we have when we register people? First, we use the wrong store code. The store code would be the store's ID as generated by IGA or by the IGA Coca-Cola Institute or by our system. So you might have other numbers like your LDC identification number. If you have multiple stores, each store might have a number. Those numbers don't have anything to do with the store code that you're going to be using. You need the Institute store code to register students. If you use the wrong store code, you're going to be putting people in other people's stores because these are all numerical codes. So if you're for store 456 and you use 456 here, you will be putting your people in other people's store because that will not be the Institute code. And the Institute code is always sent via email to the person that registers the store. Okay, so administrators are the only ones who should have this code. And if you are ever in doubt of having the right code, just give us a call and we will give you the right, we'll verify that you have the right one. Another mistake that we usually see is typos in the name. And that is very common. And then the problem with that when you're registering students is that then you have a certificate. The employee is going to have a certificate with the wrong name or with a typo on their name. One of my pet peeves, and anybody who has talked to me before or has been in one of these webinars before knows that I absolutely feel horrible when I see a student name entered either in all caps or all in lowercase. We want our certificates to look good when we print them. That's what our students want. Just make sure that you use the right name. Actually, the legal name should be the right one, and use title case like you would want your name to show on the certificate. Emails are another big problem. An email is absolutely required for a student to have an account. And the reason being that if a student forgets their password, the only way that they can retrieve it is by clicking on the forgot my password, and the system automatically sends the password to that email account. If a student doesn't have an email account, there's no way they're going to be able to retrieve their password. It could be an account that you generate for everybody, that you use for everybody in your store. It can be the employee's account, but somewhere there needs to be an account available for the students to have, so when you register them, they can retrieve their password. Always verify that you enter the address correctly. Some people add periods or just miss letters, and then the email address doesn't work, so it's no good. One very, very, very good practice is to record username. When you are registering somebody, keep an Excel spreadsheet on the side where you will write the username and password of the people that you're registering. This is very, very important. I tell you, 99% of the time that you're going to be using in troubleshooting, it's going to be trying to get somebody's username and password. That's probably 90% of the calls that I get are people that don't have their username and password. And that, I mean, that's something that can be solved. It's not a problem to fix it. We can find that information, but that's not where we should be putting our time. So always keep track of username and passwords for your employees. The last item on the boo-boos for student registrations is having multiple registrations. You won't believe sometimes there are people that have 16 different accounts. There's no need for that. And there's nothing that I can do to combine those accounts. So if you have a student that did some training last year and this year you didn't remember if they had an account or not, and you create a new account, then this person is going to have two accounts that you're going to have to be tracking because you don't want them to lose their history. So please, 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 before you register somebody, just make sure that they don't have already an account. If you're not sure, it's very easy to find out. I'm going to show you. All you have to do is just either use the user details wizard or run the student's report. With those, either of those two tools, you will be able to figure out if somebody has an account or not. So, and that is the only thing that I can do. I cannot, it's not possible for me to combine two accounts. So that would be two multiple accounts forever. Any questions about this? Does this make sense?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. One tip, always, always, always confirm the information that you're going to be entering into the system because like they say, bad information in, bad information out. So if you're entering the wrong names, putting the people in the wrong accounts, then when you run a report, the data that you're going to get back is going to be useless for you. Okay? So let's move along, and let's talk a little bit about what the best practices are for registration. First, create a format. I say this all the time. Anybody who has been in an orientation has heard this before. Create a format for the username and password. And by format, I mean a code that will allow a student to recreate their username and password because it's based on a particular string of characters. So what I mean is, for users, for example, everybody will have their first name and the date when they started in the company. So if somebody forgets their username, they know that it's going to be their first name and the date they started. Or it could be first name initial, last name, and the last 4 digits of their Social Security. It could be first name and the last 4 digits of their cell phone. But make sure that you create this format. And this is a format that you can post next to the computer. So if somebody forgets their username, they'll look at the format and they can come up with what it is. The same thing for the passwords. It could be anything you want. What you have to pay attention is that usernames always have to be unique. There cannot be 2 people in the system that share a username. That is the only information that has to be unique for each account in the system. Another best practice, run the student's report at least once a year to do your maintenance. With the student report, you're going to be able to see everybody that is in the system, and then you will be able to tell who is no longer with the store, and this happens just so often, that we have people with access still to the system, but they are no longer employees. And this can be a problematic when you have an account open and somebody goes and works for the competition and keep training and training other people within the competition with your online training system. And this has happened before. I've seen it happen. So just make sure that at least once a year you do a spring cleaning and run that student's report and check whoever is no longer with the company, we need to inactivate them. And I'm going to show you how to do that. You inactivate people using the user details wizard. And that's what's going to allow you to inactivate and make any changes. Also, if you have multiple stores, it is very important to move people around. You don't want people to lose their history, so you have the ability to move a student from store A into store B. That's when you're going to be using the assign or remove people wizard. Questions about these best practices? Okay, let's move along. Then let's talk a little bit about the student's report, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to log in and I'm going to show you how that report works. And it's very simple. I'm just logged in. I went to my home page. I click on Tools, and then I get this window here in the middle that is my Wizards and Reports window. So to get the student's report, it's located in the second column, is the third report available. So I have my student's report here, and I click View Report next to it, and that is going to open the wizard for my student's report. First screen is always going to be a description of the report. So we're going to skip that, and I'm going to click Next Step. And I'm just going to try to make this a little bigger so you guys can see better. And the first thing that it's going to ask me is for what store do you want to run this. If you have multiple stores, then you can either enter the name of the store or the store code. So in my case, I'm going to be using the U.S. demo store, so I'm just going to type U.S. And it's going to give me, in my next screen, the name of the store. So I'm just going to click the circle next to the store name, and I'm going to click Next Step. So I selected my store. Now it's telling me these are the fields that are available in your report. But I'm going to use only what is on the display order side, which is on the right side. That's a pre-selection, and that's basically the information that I care about. If you want to remove or add any information here, just feel free. Next time you log in and try to run the report, you're going to get the same default again that you can always customize. So I'm going to click Next Step, and I get to my final window here, and it's asking me, you want to run the report as an Excel or you want to run it as a web page? So I'm just going to go ahead and run it as a web page because that's much faster. In this case, if I was looking to see if Jason had an account, all I have to do is type in his last name, and Jason's last name is King. So I type King, and I click Next Step, and it's going to bring everybody that is in my store that has the same last name. And it's going to give me basically his username, which is this one that we have here, that column. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the sixth column. It's giving me the username and log on. It gives me the email address, and it tells me the user status. And this is what you're going to be using to know if somebody has access or not. User status is basically the status of that student account. If you look at Jason's, the last two entries of this report, let me just make it bigger. If you look at the last two, it's the same name with the same username, but it's twice. And that means that Jason is assigned, his account is active, but he's assigned now to the empleado group, the group in Spanish, and he was before assigned to the employee group. So he switched from employee group to empleado group. And I know that because the position status, which is the last column, knowledge position status, tells me that he's dormant on the employee group, but he's still active in the empleado group. So user status refers to the account, knowledge position refers to the group that he's assigned to. Is that clear? Because this is going to be very important for you to know if you have multiple stores and you're going to be moving people around. When you run the students report, you're going to get all the instances on all the groups that employee belongs to. And each one is going to be a separate entry. Does this make sense? Are we good?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Smart group of people. So that is the student report. Let's look at the user details, which is where you're going to go to make any changes to the student account. And I go back again to my Tools button, and I get my window, and I'm looking now for a wizard, which is the first group in this window. And it's second to last is user details here. And so I'm going to click Run the Wizard next to user details. And again, first screen is just a description. I click Next Step. I'm going to make this bigger again. Make this big. Okay. And I'm looking for Jason. So I'm going to type his last name, King. And I can either look for active or inactive people. And this is nice because if I had an employee, especially for those of you who have summer students coming back from college and joining your stores, when they go back to college, you inactivate them. But when they come back, if you want them to continue doing training, you can reactivate those accounts. So it's not only taking people out, it's bringing them back to life. So I can look for anybody who with the last name King that ever had an account, whether it's active or inactive. So I'm going to click Next Step. And it tells me, okay, there's two King people here. One is Jason King Test, and one is Jason's real account. So I'm just going to play with his test account. I don't want to mess his records. And I'm going to click Next Step. By the way, if you guys don't know, Jason is the manager for content development. He manages all the courses, and we've been working here for a long time together. So I like to use him and give him promotions.
That's for certain.
I'm sorry?
Definitely need to update the WIC course, that's for certain.
Yeah.
The WIC course is no good when it's 5 years old.
The WIC course is 5 years old?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll tell Jason. Let's give him a demotion. I'll make sure that they know that, and that they're. I'm sure they know. I'm just let them know that they need to update that.
Thank you.
It has changed a lot, the procedure?
We're trying to train the cashiers, but it's pointless.
Okay. We'll give that, I promise you we're going to give it priority to that. Who's this?
This is Sandy.
Sandy. And what store are you from?
Casey's.
Casey's? Okay. Thank you so much, Sandy. I appreciate your input. And we're going to take care of that. I promise. You can call me and yell at me if they don't do that. Okay. So in the user details, the first thing when I find Jason and I choose to see his file, the first thing that I have is status. And this is where I click either active or inactive. Usually, my preference is when I'm going to inactivate somebody, I write next to their last name inactive. And that is because when I'm running the reports, I automatically know that that person, I don't have to go and look at the column and find out if they're active or not. Just by looking at the name, I find out. That is something that I like to do. If you want to do it, feel free. Another thing that I do is on the employee number, I type the username and their password. And that way I can keep track in here. And when I run the report, if I choose to put in my student's report the employee number, I'll get them both. Because as you can see, I can see an employee username, but the password is always in those little dots. So it's always hidden because of security reasons, but this is how I get around it. You can always change it here, and then you can reuse it on the employee number right there. So I can make any changes to Jason's information, username and passwords, and also activate them and inactivate them. So when I click next step, I have a series of information that I can track here. Yes, go ahead. Was there a question? No? Okay. So I have people that do a lot of tracking of employee information in this system because you have it all in one place. So you can keep their personal information, make notes, and whenever you run any information that you have here, you can pull it out in the student details. So it's not going to be that information. The only important thing about the user details is that you always have to get in order for it to save the changes. So if you make a change and you exit, then it's not going to be saved. You got to keep going next step, next step, next step until you get to the end of the wizard for the changes to be saved. Questions about this? This is pretty easy. Are we good? Okay. So since I don't hear anything else, let me go back to our PowerPoint and let's launch that again. So we saw the student report. We saw the user details wizard. Let's talk a little bit about moving. You guys, do you want me to spend time explaining how to move people from one store to another? Is this something that you guys are going to be doing?
No.
Do we have yes or no?
No.
Yes.
No.
No. No.
Okay.
No.
So I heard a yes. I'm just going to give a quick review. And the person that said yes, call me anytime, and I'll walk you through all the process, okay, and all the details. Because this report is a kind of a two-step, so it takes a little bit of time to go over it. But I'll be more than happy to help you on an individual basis. Or you can stay after the webinar, and I can demo that particular part.
Thank you.
Okay. Who was that wants to know about it?
This is Kim.
Kim? What group
Yes.
are you with, Kim?
With the Pat's Foods group.
Pat's?
Yes.
Okay. So we can stay after we finish, and I'll show you that in detail.
Okay, thank you.
Not a problem. Important to know, if you're going to be moving people from one store to another, there is something that you should know. As an administrator, you only have access to the people that are below you. So if you're a store administrator, you're only going to be able to move people that are within your group. You're not going to be able to take people from your store and move them to other stores. The same way, you're not going to be able to go to another store and pull people to your personal store. What happens is that if you're going to be moving people between stores, you need to be an administrator at the top of the hierarchy. So you have to have access to all the stores in order to move people around. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So that is the tricky. You can only move people that are below you. So you can't take somebody from your store that is a student and give them administrator rights. That you can do. But you can't bring somebody from another store into your store unless you have access as an administrator of the whole group. Okay, let's move along. And then I'm going to skip those removing people around, and I'm going to stay after that with Kim and discuss it. So anybody who wants to stay afterwards, we can go in detail on that. Let's talk about tracking the training because I think this is the most important thing. Where do we drop the ball? First, we don't have a curriculum to tell our students what they need to be taking. We have, as an administrator, you have access to our resource center online. And on the resource center, we have the career development plans. These are kind of starting point documents that allow you, I'm going to show you where it is, that allow you to see, for example, our recommendations for a cashier or our recommendation for a courtesy clerk or for a daily person. So all you have to do is go to the Institute website, you go to the Resource Center, you log in. I'm going to log in into the lower left corner. You can see the bottom there. It's log on to the Resource Center. I'm going to enter my username, Let's see if I remember my password. Okay. I log in, and here on the left side, I have what is called People Development. That's my third option on the left side. So I click on that, and then I have Learning Paths is my second option. So I click on that, and I'm going to have a list of the most common positions where we have the highest turnover in the store. So I'm going to click on Cashier Learning Path. She's the second option. It's asking me if I want to open the Word document. I click Open. And you guys all have access to this. So please, it's going to make your life so much easier. These are Word documents. You can download them, print them, change them, customize them for your store. You have a job description on the left side. On the right side, you have a list of the courses that we recommend. We are in the process of updating these things, but you can make one for yourself. So use this as a basis for your store. Make sure that you have a career path for your employees. Don't leave them. Don't make yourself guess what somebody should be taking. Don't leave it as an open choice when you can have something specific and determined that helps guide people to their development in a well-thought manner. You have to assign users new courses. We are launching courses about at least 1 or 2 every month. Somebody should be paying attention and saying, okay, this course should be it's a good course for the produce people. We're now releasing the produce courses. That's what's coming up at most often now. And we just redesigned the courtesy clerk course. So somebody should be paying attention and making sure that people are refreshing their training or taking whatever is coming new. Another thing that is important is having a timeline. We need to have a cycle to track training. If your store has meetings once a month, or your group has a meeting every quarter, just make sure that for those group meetings, you run your report and you track training. You talk about training. There are many reasons why we train, but it's training is a great tool to improve performance and try to solve the problems that we encounter. So if you're having problems with customer complaints, then maybe we need to retrain our people on customer service. And those discussions need to happen in those group meetings. And if you know you have a report for your training and you know what's been going on in training, you can see if it is that you need more training or you have maybe a problem with a supervisor or you need to rethink the whole process. But training, having a report in those meetings for discussions does help make decisions on time. So either every quarter, every month, once a year, however it works for your business, make sure that you have a timeline. You're gonna, by having that timeline, you're always going to be able to do those checkings with people and see if they're doing the training that they are supposed to. And you also have to have a merit-demerit system. It's not only, you need to have a training policy, and it can be, you need to complete certain courses by your first 3 months, and then every year you need to renew your certification for certain areas. If you want to move from one area to another, you need to complete the courses for that new area. But you have to have a policy for training. And when people meet those training requirements, there needs to be a reward. And it doesn't have to be a monetary reward, but there has to be some level of recognition. When somebody completes all the courses in their curriculum, then the manager should go to that person and tell them, like, you know, congratulations, you did all the training. What do you think about it? Like, we just heard now we need to upgrade a course. If we don't have those conversations, there's no way that we can figure out how well our training is doing. And there has to be consequences for not following the training schedule, okay? So questions about the issues with tracking the training. Are we good? Let's talk about our best practices. Run the one-click report once a month. And that is the easiest report to run. I'm not even going to show you how to run it. I'm just going to show you where it is. So I go Tools. I get my wonderful window. I do Download Report, and automatically opens in Excel and gives me all the information. So once a month, you can keep track of what's going on. Like I said, training on your staff meetings, we talked about that. And finally, run the enrollment report for all the employees' performance review. So training should be linked and attached to the process of performance reviews. How can we expect people to perform well if we don't know if they're taking their courses? Let's look at the enrollment report now. That is probably the workhorse of everything that we're doing. So it's the second report on the right side. I just click View Report. And again, I encounter my description window. I'm going to click Next Step. Let me make this whole thing bigger. And on the name of business unit and position, I'm going to put the name of my store, which is US Demo. I don't have to put the whole name. I just put a few letters, and it's going to find the business unit that I have access to. So it's my US Demo. I click Next Step. And again, you've seen this screen before. It's telling me the fields that I have access to. I'm just happy with what I get. Actually, I'm going to take registration date drop out. I'm just going to keep the registration date and the date when they completed the courses. So I click Next Step. And now I'm going to run this one as an Excel to show you how to do the filters. I can, if I'm an administrator at the top of the hierarchy of 4 or 5 stores, I can choose to see only the people in a particular store. Or I can choose to see all the records for a particular employee. Or I can choose to see all the people that have taken a particular course. So this window really works as a pre-filter that reduces the amount of information that you're going to get. So you can see particular store, particular person, particular course. If I leave them blank, I'm going to get everything. And then on the registration date, this is where you're going to either choose a time period that you want when they register or a time period when they completed the course. So I'm just going to look at the last month of last year for my U.S. demo store. And so it's 12/1/2012, and I'm going to end up at 12/31/2012. And so I'm just going to see what has happened in the U.S. demo store the month of December. That's basically what I'm doing. And I'm choosing to see it as an Excel, so I click Next Step. And it gives me, I don't know if you guys can see, on top of that window, I have a back button that is on blue on the top left side. Right above that, there is a bar that when I roll over, it becomes dark blue. I click on that, and it gives me a pop-up menu, and it's asking me to download the file. So that's the option that I want to choose, download file. It's asking me that if I want to retry, this is something with my computer. I'm just going to retry. And this is what you should be getting, a window to open or save the report. So I'm just going to go ahead and open it. And I get everything smushed in when it displays. And this data is exported as a comma delimited file. And it's a little, there are some features of Excel that are not going to work with this file. So what I always do, this is best practice, I click on the top box next to, just before the A column, and I click on that square to select everything. I do a copy, Control-C. I copy the file, and I go ahead and open a new Excel file and paste the whole thing. Control-V to paste. And now I can close that old one. No, I don't want to save it. So now I have an Excel worksheet. To manipulate this data, I can do a few things. So I'm just going to make it a little bigger. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to highlight my top column, and I'm going to make it bold so it's easier to see. I can expand all the columns, and to do that, all I have to do is place my cursor between any of the columns on the top, the A, B, C, D. I just put my cursor between two of the columns. My cursor changes into a little line with arrows looking into opposite directions. I double click on that, and what it does is it's automatically resizing my whole thing. And so now I can see all the columns in all their width. Okay? So the first thing that I want to do when I have this file is I can look till the end, and I know that in December we got 72 enrollments. That's what I can see from this. If I want to know how many people or how many courses, I have to do either a filter and a function. And the first thing that I want to know as a user is I want to know, okay, who has been enrolling in courses? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a filter to filter the employee column. So I go to data, my data menu on Excel, and I click filter, and I choose advanced filter. And that is going to give me the advanced filter window. And basically what I'm telling is, what I want to do is tell Excel, look at the employee column and tell me how many different people are there. So what I'm going to do is select in my window, copy to another location, the option of copy to another location, because I don't want to mess with my original data. I just want to see how many students do I have working in a different place. So I click copy to another location. I'm going to tell it which column do I want to look at? So on the list range option, I click my employee column, and it automatically puts the information there. And I'm going to say copy to, and I'm going to copy it to my age column. And I'm going to tell it I only want unique records. So I do, these are the options that I chose. Copy to another location. On the list range, I choose my column of employees. I tell it where I'm going to copy it, and I choose unique records only. And I click OK, and it's going to automatically put in my age column here the people that have been taking courses in December in my store. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people taking courses. Now, the next thing I want to know is how many courses these people have taken. And for that, I have to run a function. And a function is going to count how many courses those people took. So I'm just going to click the function button that is on my menu bar here. I click function, insert function, and the function that I want to use is count if. So I click count if, and I say OK. And now what I have to tell the Excel is what do I want it to count and where. So what's the range? Well, my range continues to be my employee column. I want to look in my employee column, and now tell me how many times the name of the student is in there. And I just went and clicked the name of the first employee. And I click OK, and it does a count. So basically, the first student, Kissy, did 83 courses, enrolled in 63 courses. Let me do that again for repetition so it's clear. So I go to Ana Velasquez, I click the cell next to my name, and now I'm going to go to the function feature. I'm going to open that. I'm going to use the count if function. I click OK. And in my window, I'm going to select the range, which is basically my employee column. And I'm going to tell what criteria, what does it need to look for. And I'm going to say Ana Velasquez. I'm going to click the Ana Velasquez cell. And I click OK. And it counts again, and it tells me, okay, Ana enrolled in 4 courses. If I don't want to do this for every employee. So there's a trick to make this happen faster. So what I can do is just copy that function all over. So I select the cell where I have the function, where I have my results, and on the lower right corner of the cell, there is a little square. So if I place my cursor on top of that and I double click, it's going to repeat that function down. So now I have a complete list of how many courses each employee did. If I want to see how many courses the employee completed, I have to do a little organization. I have to go back to my raw data, and I have to sort my whole file by completed. So I have all the completed courses together. And then I'm going to repeat the same process, but instead of choosing all the column D, I'm just going to choose the rows where the employees have completed courses. And that's basically how I get it. Do you want me to demonstrate how to do that? Or is this something that you guys know how to do? Are we good? Repeat? Okay. So let's see. What I need, I'm just going to make this smaller so we can see most of the data. What I'm going to do is I'm going to choose my raw data, and I'm going to sort it. So I'm going to go data, sort, and I'm going to sort it by my completed column. So I go sort, and I'm looking for registration date completed. And what that is going to do is it's going to put all my completed courses on the top. So now when I'm going to do the same process I did before, I'm going to select the cell next to the first student. So it's J and on the J column. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to use function. And I'm going to use COUNTIF. I'm going to say OK. And now the only thing that's going to change is my range. Now I don't want to see the whole column. I just want to see the employees that completed courses. So I'm just going to select the first employee name because that row has a completion. And I'm going to go down to the last employee name that completed a course. So I'm just going to click Shift, and I'm going to click the employee name. So if you can see those, I'm not sure if you can see the area that is selected, but basically I choose the name, the first name that appears on my list, and the last name that appears where a student has completed a course. And that is my range. And then I'm going to use criteria, again, the same name of the student. So I go back to my sub-list here and select the employee name. And I click OK. And it's telling me Kizzy completed 59 courses out of the 63 that she enrolled. So I double-click in the corner to replicate that function to everybody, and I'm just going to relabel here, and I'm going to say these are my enrollments, enroll, and these are complete. And once you do this process a couple of times, it becomes automatic nature. You don't have to think about it. But always remember that to get the completions, you have to sort, and then your selection in the column of employee, it's going to be just those names of people who have completed the courses. Are we good?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that is basically it. You can do the same thing instead of using the employee column. You can use the course title column and do the same process if you want to see how many people have completed how many courses by course title. Question. It's 1 hour exactly. Do you have, guys, any questions? Anything that you want to clarify? Anything that you do at your store that you want to share? The floor is yours.
The only thing I had trouble with yesterday was changing language for a Spanish-speaking employee. I changed it to, I thought I changed it to Spanish where the courses are listed for them, but then when I opened it to show her, it was the whole course was still in English.
That is a phenomenal question. I'm really glad that you brought that up. There are a couple of things that you can use to determine. If you're going to have in your store employees whose their main language is Spanish, what we can do is we can create a position for Spanish employees. And the only thing that you need to do is then register them. Once we create that position, you can register them going to the Spanish version of the website, and they're going to go automatically into Spanish. Or you can go to that user details. Let me just show you. On the user details report, wizard, I'm sorry, I can go to a student, and I'm going to use Jason again, and I select Jason. I go to this page. There is a language option. If you see here at the bottom, I have a language option. If I change the Spanish here, the default language for that employee is going to be Spanish. And this will be permanent.
Okay, okay.
So we can either create a position for all the Spanish employees, and you register them in the Spanish page, or you can register them in the English, and then their default language is going to be Spanish.
Okay, great. I think I understand that. I'll try that with her, and I'll call you, Anna, if I have any questions.
Any at all. Just give me a call, and we can work this out and see. Do you have many students that are Spanish speaking?
You know, I do actually. I have some that are native Spanish speakers. I have maybe 2 or 3 in the store. We have about 50 employees that have trouble with English, and they would not be able to do these courses in English. They just wouldn't.
Okay.
So
they always can change their language to Spanish. That's always a possibility. But you need to know English to be able to move through the process.
Gotcha,
So what
gotcha.
you want is have them start from scratch in Spanish.
Okay.
So call me a little later, and we can set that up for you.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Because this is another option, but I think it's better for you if you're going to be using more Spanish to have your own Spanish group.
Okay.
Good. Any other questions?
How do you change someone's last name?
Okay, just use the same user details, and that's common when people get married. And you can come in here, these user details, and change whatever you enter here. I would change Jason's to his wife's name, but she has the same last name. So he's kinky. It doesn't make any difference to play that trick on him. But this is where you would change it. And the email address here, too. Okay? This is where you will find it. So email address, username and password, and names, all in the user details. That is your workhorse for that. And also, obviously, to activate or inactivate people. Any other questions?
Yeah, you can show these people active or inactive, but can you have them deleted permanently from your list so you don't have to look at those names again?
I wish we could. They will forever. It's a database-driven system, and once in the system, forever in the system. What you can do, however, is when you run the report, when you run
your active employees,
just choose to see only, let me see, enrollments. I'm going to go here, US demo, I can go to the end here, and I can choose, not in here, but in the student details, you can choose to view only active or inactive.
Well, what gets me when I run this enrollment report, it won't take my store name. He'll take my store number, but not my store name. And when I put in the store number, all I get is the ones who's listed as managers.
Okay. If you put, I see what you're saying. You're putting the store code here.
Well, I put the store name there, and it doesn't do me any good.
Okay. Let's see. I
have to put the store number to run any report I do.
Yes. I actually prefer to do the store number. The store number, if you put the store number where it says business unit ID on the second box, then it will give you, when I put here, like my store number is 0001, I click next step. And then it's going to give me all the groups that are associated with my store. And then I can choose if I want to see only employees or if I want to see only the store. So when I get to this screen, I get to choose how do I want to define the report. So my recommendation, use the store code on the second box. And then when you click next step, then
I'll do it right now and see what happens.
Okay, yes. Go ahead. Try it. Because when you put the store code, it should give you not only the store as a whole, which gives you the store name.
Okay, it gives me the 3 choices.
Give you the 3 choices. Okay, so if you choose a store name, it's going to give you everybody.
Well, it doesn't do nothing if I choose the store name.
Oh, that's bad.
I always have to use store code.
Okay, let me just let me go back and re-log in as let me change my as an almighty manager of the U.S. and I'll be able to have access to your store.
Because when I do that, it just says there's no business units found but if I put the number there,
you know, it could be that we have it misspelled, and it's not finding it. What's the name of your store?
Casey's IGA.
Casey's. Let's see.
I've even copied and pasted.
Okay, so it would be Casey's IGA. Your store code is 4699?
Yep.
Okay. So let me see. It could be that it doesn't like the apostrophe. I think that's what it is. It doesn't like the apostrophe. So if you type just CA, it will give it to you because you only have access to Casey's. So only if you type, even if you only type the first letter, it should give you the store. But if you type something that it's not recognizing, and I think it's the apostrophe, I don't know why it's not recognizing it.
I'll try that with CA right now since I'm...
Yeah, go ahead and try it while we're talking.
Let me get to my... Oh, crap.
Casey's.
Let's see.
Apostrophe. So I'm going to let them know because it should recognize the apostrophe.
Yeah, it doesn't. I always have to put in the...
Yeah. So try it with just putting the letter C, and let me know.
The C? Okay, just C and not my store number, right?
No, just the C by itself should give it to you.
Yeah, I put it takes me into our headquarters, the ones that's in the HQ group.
Oh, okay. So it's giving you everybody. You know,
no, it's just giving me the ones that's in the HQ group.
Yes. Yeah, it's giving you, so you have access to the HQ. That's what it is. Yeah, you have access to all the groups. But if it was me, my recommendation is put the store code in the second text box, and that will always do exactly what you need.
That's what I've been having to do.
Yeah. It's more reliable like that. That's what I do.
That's what I've been having to do for you.
Yeah. So that should take care of your problem.
Okay.
Okay. So Kim, are you still there? I think she's gone.
So that's it, huh?
Yeah. That's it. Okay. I think it's just you and me. I think they left us all alone.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to leave you alone now, too, because I'm at the house, and I'm going to go finish my laundry.
Oh, okay. Then you can stop by mine.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Okay, yes. Go ahead.
Feedback form.
Feedback form. Oh, too late. I think everybody's gone.
I'm still here, Anna. This is Lamont Rooster. I just want to say goodbye.
I'm here still.
Oh, okay.
Thank you very much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you, guys. Well, there's a feedback form outside, so I'll send a link to everybody so they can complete the feedback form.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye now.